Good evening. I'm Dr. Mitchell Palmer-McDonald, and this is Blacklight on Sports with myself and Charles Hallman. Charles Hallman is currently on assignment, and our guest today, or this evening, is Tyrone Minor. Tyrone Minor is an educator, an entrepreneur, and a former, even though I know you're probably still good at it,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
a former track and field athlete at Drake University and the University of Minnesota and at St. Paul Central. Um, Tyrone, it's real good to have you here this evening.
Appreciate you having me, Mitch.
All
It's
right.
like a family reunion, right?
All right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell us, you can start by telling us a little bit just about your background, where you grew up, a lot of the things that you're doing now, and your journey.
Okay. Well, I'm a proud product of Rondo, Mitch. I mean,
Okay.
you have the cheat code because you've known me since I was probably about 8 years old, right? Yep,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I grew up in St. Paul, actually kitty corner from Pilgrim Baptist Church.
Hmm.
And so yeah, that's where my journey started. And I look at my life in a couple different compartments. So I have that sports side, and
Hmm.
the sports side, the journey started like many other Rondo kids. It started at Jimmy Lee, right? With
Okay.
Jimmy Lee with football
Yes.
in the fourth grade, and I actually dabbled a little bit in basketball, and I knew that wasn't my calling after a few years, right, brother? So, I played at the King Center, following your lead, my big brother's leads.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, the journey started there from an athletic standpoint, and went on. I went on to you know, proudly represent St. Paul Central, and I can say that I'm proud of what we did as athletes. We're still the last St. Paul City school to win the large track and field championships. Right, so that was 1989.
Hmm.
My journey from there took me to Drake University and then the U of M, and then I competed nationally for about a decade beyond college, and
Okay.
so that's sort of the athletic journey, and then my journey as an entrepreneur kind of intersected with my athletic career as I
Okay.
was sort of in the twilight of my athletic career. The fact that I was still competitive on an elite level
Hmm.
into my 30s, I started to attract a lot of local athletes who were wanting to know how this 30 something year old cat with multiple jobs could still get down, right? And so they started approaching me. Before you knew it, I was coming up with you know the workout routines, finding places for us to compete. I was coming up with the meet schedule, just everything that's involved in putting together a program, and that's sort of when the first entrepreneurial light went on.
Hmm.
And it let me know that, hey, there's a demand for my services and what I can bring to the table. So I started Chisel Inc., which was my first personal training business. I was an itinerant trainer. I would go to people's homes, places of employment. I mean, it started with athletes, but then it quickly grew to involve just everyday professional people,
Okay.
right? And so, I did that for a decade before I finally opened up my first brick and mortar, the Fit Lab.
Okay.
And that first Fit Lab was located right across the street from the State Fair.
Hmm.
And that was intentional because I wanted to be accessible to the Rondo community, right? And so, after a few years of successful training, and we were more than just a training facility. We were a holistic um, health and wellness studio. So it involved much more than just physical training. You're talking nutrition, mental health. Um, we outgrew that space and moved to Falcon Heights in 2016, and from there, 3 years there. Or actually, we were there until this January, when I purchased my first commercial building.
Okay.
And there I brought, it was sort of a homecoming. I brought the Molly Center
Yes.
to St. Paul, the North End community in particular. And just to give a real quick recap on just what or explanation of what the Molly Center is,
Mm-hmm.
it's a holistic wellness hub, and we empower health and diverse entrepreneurship,
Mm-hmm.
for all communities, but we really want to make an impact on, diverse communities in the North End, Rondo, Frogtown, Hamlin, Midway, Como, etc. And we are is we're an ecosystem of entrepreneurs and nonprofits that are, just trying to do our part to better humanity and really make health and wellness more accessible to communities of color. So we have a couple of nonprofits, like I mentioned. We have Change Starts With Me. We have the Fairway Foundation,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have um, a dynamic group of entrepreneurs, many of whom are from Rondo. So we have, Righteous Souls, R.L. Davis, he owns Righteous Souls. So we have retail, this is
Mm-hmm.
my man's brand. We have a couple mental health professionals, Dr. Sheila Sweeney,
Mm-hmm.
our guy, Dr. Kasim,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Anisha Kelly. And then we also have just community partners. So they're not necessarily housed in the Molly Center,
Mm-hmm.
but we have connections with them. So, for example, like the YWCA St. Paul, um, Ashley Booker's the CEO. She is also a proud product of Rondo.
Okay.
Um, and in addition, we have the new Fit Lab. And there's
Yeah.
9 trainers at the Fit Lab, and we do our thing right with physical fitness, but again, we also really focus on holistic health and wellness. So we have other partners like Nutrition Julie. So yeah, it's all about improving health and wealth. So
Mm-hmm.
simultaneously, particularly though for those people that are um, individuals that invest in other people.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, when people invest in other people, they neglect themselves. So it's also a place where we want the entrepreneurs that are doing the work to make sure that they prioritize their own health and wellness as they make a difference in their communities.
Okay. Um, Going back to your athletic days,
Hmm.
how how did that prepare you for what you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, I was an athlete. I played football and ran track and
Mm-hmm.
throughout my high school days.
Mm-hmm.
But in track in particular, I was a guy who could do multiple events. I'm all over the place. I'm doing the long jump, the triple jump, the
Mm-hmm.
100, 200, 4x1. Um, I was also the team captain, so I had to. Um, there's a weird dynamic when you're a captain of individuals who are about the same age as you
Mm-hmm.
or the exact same as you. You have to walk that fine line between displaying leadership,
Mm-hmm.
but also not um, making yourself appear that you are better than or above, right? And so that my athletic career definitely taught me a lot about being a leader,
Mm-hmm.
being able to multitask, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, anybody that's ever run track, it's hard work, brother. Right?
It's not easy.
You know what I mean? And so,
Mm-hmm.
I really learned that from, my mom and in particular, just the value of hard work. You get out what you put into something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, I would say just I would add just having the discipline and the work ethic to stick through something even when the times are tough. If there's physical pain,
Mm-hmm.
one of the sayings I like to say when I'm training people is, um, your mind will quit before your body will, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a matter of training your body to, or training your mind rather to endure, um, because oftentimes some of the best experiences of your life will be just on the other side of that discomfort.
Mm-hmm. Who were some of the people that influenced you early on as you were coming up through the ranks?
Yeah, from an athletic standpoint,
Yeah.
we're talking. I mean, it starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
My big bro was my big brother Roy Lee was my idol, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was Superman to me. You know what I mean? Could jump
Yes.
out of the gym,
Yes.
big calves, big baritone voice. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Left-handed finger roll. So, and I know he was a basketball player, but you and I know he could have run track, or there's other sports he
Mm-hmm.
could have done.
Yes. Yes.
But then just the legacy. Of great athletes at Central, from Dave Winfield to Stacy Robinson to Vaughn Shepard, all the greats. I saw them as a young man, a grade school kid, watching these great athletes, and I thought, man, this is something I want to emulate. I can't wait till it's my turn, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are some of the athletes that influenced me.
Okay. Who influenced you as far as your entrepreneurship and becoming an educator?
Yeah, well, education, man, is something I never thought I would do. As a matter of fact, the irony about me being an educator, your father has he knew me since I was young, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did an interview with him, and he talked about uh, me being a knucklehead, and in and in a good way, I guess, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I had that sort of stubbornness that said, you know what, I can, if you, even if you tell me I can't do something, I can't. I believe I can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and actually, during my student teaching, I told them, now that I've pursued this journey, and really it started because the first career that I had at the Hubert H. Humphrey Job Corps,
Mm-hmm.
my hours were pretty much 1 to 10 or 1 to midnight. And so I didn't have a lot of time to spend with my son. So
Mm-hmm.
that sort of influenced me to find a career that I could balance both family and my career.
Okay.
So, anyways, during my program at the University of Minnesota, I told them, don't even give me a middle school appointment, because we had to do 3 appointments.
Mm-hmm.
I said, because I'll never teach middle school. I mean, those kids are. Yes, it's the first job I had in education, and for
Middle school, huh?
for 14 years, brother, I was at the middle school, right, Northview,
No.
right, and
Yeah.
so the education piece sort of was just happenstance, somewhat, but then also intentional, because again, I wanted to spend more time with the family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the entrepreneurship, I saw a few entrepreneurs, but not many. I don't, for some people, Mitch, I think it's just in you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you see people on a national scale. Locally, we did have some black entrepreneurs, but I wouldn't necessarily say they influenced me as much as I just knew that I wanted more control of my own destiny.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so for me, that meant doing something outside of just a traditional career of working for someone.
Okay. All right. Now, gonna go back. Gonna go back to your. I'm gonna go back to 1989. And we recently had a guest on here
Okay.
by the name of Leonard Jones,
Yes, sir.
who you and him will forever be connected because of what happened at the state track meet in 1989. Why don't you walk us through that a little bit and talk about that a little
Yeah, man. First of all, salute to my man, Leaping Leonard.
bit?
You know, he Leonard, I thank him, bruh, every day, even though that was 30 something years ago, just
Hmm.
because he made me a better athlete, but also a better person. Like, so just to quickly set the stage, And the funny thing is, Mitch, is you covered both of us, and I can recall running into you in St. Paul, and you would tell me, "Hey, man, there's this other cat on the other side." Now, keep in mind, the year before I won the long jump, so I'm
Yeah.
already the
Yeah.
state champion,
Yeah.
right? And so, when you're young, you think I'm him. I'm that guy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you telling me, "Oh man, there's this dude named Leonard, man. He's jumping nice over at Henry." And I'm like, well, I was at the state meet. Where was he? I didn't see him. So you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
didn't quite believe you. And then
Yeah.
we had an indoor meet at the U, and I actually beat him in the long jump. But then my partner in crime, Rodney Robbins, uh,
Mm-hmm.
we're thinking we're gonna go 1-2 in state this year, and Leonard got us at that indoor meet. And anyway, so as the season progressed and we transitioned to outdoors, I ended up breaking the state record in the triple jump.
Mm-hmm.
And going into the state meet, um, I qualified in 4 different events. I was ranked number one in all 4. And but as it relates to the triple jump in particular, there wasn't anybody, even Leonard included, within 2 feet of me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, right, it's a foregone conclusion, and that I'm gonna go ahead and get this dub. So I'm overrunning the 4x1 or the 100 final. Can't recall which. And as I'm coming back, I hear all this applause, and I'm thinking, oh man, they happy to see your boy. Come on back. Like, okay, that's the type of reception I want. And I hear over the loudspeaker that they actually, unfortunately for Leonard, they misquoted. They actually just assumed it was going to be me, because Leonard ends up breaking my week old state record, jumping almost 3 feet, or it might even been exactly 3 feet further. And for those people that don't um, know as much about track, in particular the triple jump, jumping 3 feet farther in one meet is like not being able to touch the net one day
Mm-hmm.
and doing a 360 dunk the next day, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of improvement that he made in one meet. And so yeah, I recall Coach Smaller in between the prelims and finals pulling us on. You know what? This is what you want. You got the best competition, the biggest stage. This is what it's all about. And I'm thinking to myself, man, no, I want to dominate. I don't want somebody breaking my record. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyways, the long story short is it came down to my last jump, and going into the meet, my best is 48.2. His best is 45, mid. He jumps 48.9 in the prelims. And then the best I could get, the closest I could get was 48.4 um, for my first 5 jumps. And then that last jump,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were there.
Yeah.
I still have the video footage, which actually you in it, peeking at it, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
I just had that dog in me, man. I had Rondo in me. I had greatness in me. So I ended up jumping 49.8. And to this day, Mitch, no one has jumped further in the triple jump at the state meet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still one of the top 3 jumps in state history in the triple jump. And yeah, the irony too is that um, we did not put all the effort we should have in practice. Smaller used to work us so much in the running events
Mm-hmm.
when Coach Tim would say, "Okay, guys, it's time to practice the triple." Man, Mitch, he turns this way, we're out. You know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, man, I ended up, I was fortunate in my track career to earn a Division I scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
to travel all over the world. I've been out of the country, and I've competed against Olympians, gold medalists, world record holders, for example, Maurice Green,
Mm-hmm.
Leroy Burrell. Um, but with that said, my greatest memory and accomplishment is still that high school state meet, in particular that triple jump. Um,
Wow.
because we were able to win the state meet as a team, and I won a couple individual titles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'll never forget that, man. As long as I live, it was if I think if you would describe it to you know, your guests, you would probably say it was like a heavyweight fight, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
a boxing
You
match.
guys did go. You guys did go back and forth. It wasn't anything myself and my father were expecting. Um, and I mean, talking to Leonard, he wasn't expecting it.
Right.
He didn't. And that kind of the event kind of propelled him because they won it the next year.
Absolutely.
And by jumping, so yeah, I always bring that up. I always That's a real good memory for myself also. And I mean, it's a memory for Leonard. He was smiling like crazy when I said I was going to interview you. So he was just cracking up. I said I got to get Tyrone on.
Yes,
But
sir.
moving on from there, you went to Drake University, and then you came back to not back to, but you came back home.
Hmm.
Yeah, to the University of Minnesota.
Hmm.
Yeah, what was your collegiate experience like?
Yeah, it was solid. At Drake, I was able to win, three conference championships.
Mm-hmm.
Just missed qualifying for the national meet. But I quickly found out that Drake was great academic institution.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have the greatest coaching, and we certainly didn't have the greatest facilities. I mean, we had a 150 something yard indoor track, which is
Okay.
insane for a Division I program, especially with the prestigious Drake relays.
Mm-hmm.
Coaching was non-existent. We coached ourselves essentially.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, when I transferred back to the U of M, I expected, okay, because they recruited me hard out of high school. I thought that it would be much better, and unfortunately, it was not. A lot of what I accomplished. I mean, I was fortunate enough to, again, I had that resolve, that dog in me. I was able to be all Big Ten in multiple events.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the 100, the long jump, the triple jump. We, got third in the 4x1, and there were some elite athletes in the Big Ten. But I definitely did not reach my potential, and that was one of the things that influenced me to continue my career because I knew there
Mm-hmm.
was more left in me, and so I actually achieved a lot more in terms of performances and placement in national meets after college. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, um, when I chose Drake University, it was because of the academics, and I was hoping to get the best of both worlds. And what I really realized is that, you know, if you have a goal to be one of the best in the world or
Mm-hmm.
US as an athlete, you have to go where the best train. And, even to this day, that's going to be down south. Right.
Yeah.
So if I had to do it all over again, that's what I would have done. But it all worked out in the end. So I'm good.
Yeah. Um, I know you had a recent celebration
Yes, sir.
opening up the Miley Center. Um, and I noticed there were a lot of people there to support, but I know you really made a point to put the focus on your family. How important is
Yes.
your family to you as far as everything that's going on with you right now and the things that you have accomplished?
Yeah. So they're right. You hear people say, faith, family are two of the most important things. My family, in particular, my immediate family,
Mm-hmm.
it starts with my mom, the foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
If she doesn't make the sacrifices she made, then I don't accomplish what I accomplished. That's why I try to stay as humble as possible because I know that other people sacrifice in order for me to
Mm.
accomplish the things I accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
My wife's my best friend. You know what I mean? So I had to celebrate her as well. That's my travel partner. That's I mean, we just, yeah, I mean, whether we're having an intellectual conversation or,
Mm-hmm.
chilling, watching a movie where like that literally is my best friend. So again, I had to celebrate her. But then I also had to celebrate, my family who um, they have supported me um, from my athletic journey,
Mm-hmm.
academic journey to my entrepreneurial endeavors. So, I had cousins that came in from out of town, Omaha,
Mm-hmm.
Davenport, Kansas. Um, that's love, right? When people show up for you
Yes.
for the most important events of your life,
Yes.
those are things you'll never forget, right? So
Yeah.
you have to acknowledge them, and I understand that nothing great is accomplished alone. So whether it's just encouragement or support,
Mm-hmm.
or it's direct assistance, no one accomplishes anything alone. And so I definitely had to acknowledge my family.
Yeah. Those are who are how can I put this with um you've been a teacher for what 25 years
It'll be
at
25. I'll be
25
starting my 25th
fifth
year.
year. Mm-hmm.
Yep, in the fall.
So and you're at Osseo High School.
Osceola
Okay.
Senior High.
um how um how important is it for you as you're there for to set an example for the young people that are there. Times are a little bit different, as they should be,
Yep.
or else things would be boring. But times the youth are facing a lot of different more challenges
Yes, sir.
than we have in our era.
Mhm.
How important do you think your job is to be there for them?
Yeah, it's very important, Mitch, and it's important for all of the kids. Like the kids that aren't um, diverse. Let's just say that they need to see examples of what Black excellence looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, our kids need to see that someone that they can touch, talk with,
Mm-hmm.
um, is there for them and show them what is possible. Like it's one thing to have, a LeBron James or some celebrity as, your role model, but you will most likely never have contact with that
Mm-hmm.
individual. Whereas, teachers, we're in the streets, we're on the ground, boots on the ground.
Yeah.
So oftentimes we have a greater impact than their parents, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, I still mentor individuals that I taught 20 something years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And funny thing is, some of them still call me Mr. Minor. They're
Mm-hmm.
40 some years old, right? Families and all
Yep.
that. And it's just a sign of respect. And I appreciate it, right? But yeah, no, it's very important. And you know, I embraced the that title somewhat reluctantly, but I do embrace it. The title of role model.
Mm-hmm.
However, role model doesn't mean perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I I actually am willing to learn even from my students at my age.
Mm-hmm.
I try to put myself in that humble position to say, I don't know everything,
Yes.
but I am proud of the fact that I've impacted so many people. And sometimes when you're doing the work, you're just doing the work. You don't know the impact you're having until you have events like the grand opening
Yeah.
and you see people that you taught 20 something years ago, and I have individuals saying, oh yeah, this person helped transform my life. That's powerful. And that's, Muhammad Ali said, service to others is the rent we pay while we're on earth.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that the currency for me is not just the compensation, but it's making that difference and having an impact on people's lives. So yeah, it's very important. And I have a motto that says, I can't teach it if I don't live it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I can still give all my kids that work. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? When it comes to working out,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be a living example of, you know, when you age, your aging's inevitable, but declining, right, is
Mm-hmm.
optional, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can so certainly slow down that aging process. And so, um, with these kids and these days, right, social media, they need to see it.
Yeah,
And if they don't see it, it didn't happen, right?
that's true. That's true.
And so, but it's just for me, I like the way I feel the and so I will all working out will always be a part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing is some of the greatest impact that I've had on kids has not come through physical fitness or athletics.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have, but it's almost like being fit is a beacon or a light that attracts the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they, what's the saying? They don't, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Mm-hmm.
Once these kids see that, what, I'm rooting for you, I'm your biggest fan, I want to see you succeed and put you in a position to succeed. When they see that, um, combined with the fact that, I can still do my thing physically,
Mm-hmm.
that just gives me a certain cachet or, they respect it. And therefore they're more apt to listen to whether it's life lessons or just lessons on, improving their health.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's important.
How and it also I was on a field trip with some students at the University of Minnesota, and it was for an African American class that I'm teaching, and there were students from different schools, and they asked a question of to some. It was it was all black focused.
Okay.
So there were some black students at the U, and the question was asked, what would you do differently when you were in high school to prepare yourself for being in college or at the U?
Mhm.
And I'll be honest, I thought they were gonna do the regular, time management, this and that, and what every last one of them said was, um, see if you can focus on your mental health. And they said if they would have been able to focus on their mental health, they said if you're dealing with some mental health issues, deal with them now. So by the time you get there, you're ready. He said because they said they weren't ready. How important is mental health um, to what you're doing? There's always the physical,
Mhm.
but there's always that. But that's coming up more and more, and we see it more in our youth and in our adulthood.
Yes, sir.
So how important is that is part of the process?
That's a great question, Mitch. You know, we when I was at the when I opened up the first Fit Lab in 2013, we had a holistic. I designed a holistic um, transfer lifestyle transformation challenge, and it involved three components: physical fitness, nutrition, and the third component was mental health. We didn't have the words back then, right, to actually
Yeah.
put a label on it. Like
Mm-hmm.
the older I get, though, the mental health piece should be along with the spiritual. Those are that's the foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that happened during the pandemic, Mitch, is I discovered that I was an introvert, and you know, and the reason in it that is important to identify and mention is because once I, discovered even at that age, right? I turned 50 during the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
or the first year of the pandemic. it was important for me to identify that because then it gave me permission to engage in things like mindfulness and meditation
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that, sometimes I need some alone time, right?
Yeah.
I need some time to just um, unwind or, just be at peace. I love to travel. One of the places I find the most peace, and most people would be like, yeah, yeah, sure, is the beach
Mm-hmm.
or in nature. I've taken
Mm-hmm.
trips to Colorado and just been in nature. And so the paying attention to your mental health is absolutely critical. That's again why the definition in the Molly Center is holistic health and wellness. And
Mm-hmm.
that, when we say holistic, that means physical, spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
mental. So it can't be understated how important mental health is. And, you know, um, so I told you one of the members of the ecosystem is a childhood friend, R.L. Davis. His
Mm-hmm.
clothing brand, Righteous Souls, is all about, you know, prioritizing mental health and mindfulness and things of that nature. And then one of the members of our ecosystem, Dre Mills, has a podcast called Mental Health,
Mm-hmm.
like TOLL. So the
Yeah.
toll that, just life takes on anyone's mental health. But in particular, I think it's important that we amplify the mental health of Black boys and men, because we have this, I'm going to say it's a stigma of being superhuman,
Mm-hmm.
right? Nothing phases us. We're the hardest, toughest, whatever.
Yes.
Um, and so, yeah, with that said, mental health for us, especially in a society that doesn't always see the greatness in us and
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes sees us as a threat or um, not having the academic aptitude or whatever it is, that whatever stigmas that exist or stereotypes that exist, it's just even more important for us to focus on our mental health. Everyone should, but I think we're probably um, a segment of of society that has been the slowest to embracing mental health.
Okay. Um, with this, usually, as we wrap things up,
Mhm.
um, we usually give our guests a chance to say something that I didn't ask or that you didn't get a chance to talk about. You don't have to come up with something,
Right, right.
but usually, you might say, you know what, I really wanted to push this or push that. Is there as we close up, is there anything that you'd like to say? Any advice you'd like to give? Or
Yeah, I try not to give unsolicited advice.
mm-hmm.
If people, but just a couple things. Number one, I just want to highlight the incredible entrepreneurs and good human beings who call the Molly Center home.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned some of the nonprofits. We have Fairway Foundation, led by Mr. Eric Goodlow,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have and that nonprofit exposes our kids to the game of golf. His father started that in 1993, and he's carrying on that tradition. We have another nonprofit called Change Starts With Me, and they have a couple of initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
They focus on veterans affairs and teen engagement. Addressing food insecurities, providing mentorship and scholarships for BIPOC businesses. The whole upper level, the mezzanine level of the Molly Center is St. Paul Central. A couple
Mm-hmm.
doctors. Um, then we also have Dr. Jermaine Davis, who is a professor, entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
He's there. So I you know, and then not to mention all of the great, phenomenal entrepreneurs that exist at the Fit Lab.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm hoping that we can shed light on just the genius and the phenomenal human beings that exist there. I
Mm-hmm.
just think so many people, you know, as an educator, how often do you just get recognized, not just maybe from your students, but like on a,
Mm-hmm.
you know, higher level
Mm-hmm.
for the work that you've been teaching? How long did you say? 37?
37. Yeah.
I mean,
37 years.
come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, my guess is there has been an athlete or two who has gotten into a place without paying or gotten some perks because of what they accomplished as an athlete. I don't necessarily see people saying 37. Come on in here, man. The dinner's on us tonight, man. You know what I mean? So I want to use I,
Mm-hmm.
I want to use any recognition that I get and deflect that to all these other great people doing work. Um, you know, so that's one thing. And then the other thing is just you I think you kind of touched on it. For me, um, having peace of mind is huge. You know, quieting out all the noise, surrounding yourself, like the alchemist says, surrounding yourself with people who believe in your dreams
Yeah.
and who inspire you. You know, I think I heard a quote that said, if you know, look at your circle, and if you're not inspired by your circle, you don't have a circle, you have a cage, right?
Right.
So I want people to be inspired by the people that are around them, and when you look at the people that are in your circle,
Mm-hmm.
say these people inspire me to want to be better as human beings, as you know, entrepreneurs, as whatever it is that you're doing. So, so yeah, your circle and who you surround yourself with, your support group is very important, and I think people always should look at who they are around, and lastly, just making sure that that circle is diverse, right? You know, if everyone in your circle thinks alike, there's probably not much growth taking place, right? And so you want diverse perspectives, experiences. I think that all helps us grow and evolve um, to be just better overall human beings. So,
Okay. Well, man, time flies, boy, when you're talking.
yes, sir.
Um, I really appreciate you stopping by. Um, to share your journey and share your wisdom with us. This is Black Light on Sports with Charles Hallman, and I'm Dr. Mitchell Palmer McDonald. Thank you, Tyrone Minor.
Appreciate it, brother. Anytime, Mitch.
All right.